What is World War I? World War I is one of the largest conflicts in world history. It was a global war that lasted from 1914 to 1918 and involved most of the world's great powers, organized into two opposing alliances, the Allies and the Central Powers. The war was triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in June 1914, and quickly spread as various nations mobilized their armies. The war saw significant technological advancements, including the use of tanks, submarines, and chemical weapons. It resulted in the deaths of millions of soldiers and civilians and reshaped the political and social landscape of the world. What was the cause of the war? The causes of World War I are complex and multifaceted, with a range of political, economic, and social factors contributing to the outbreak of the war. Some of the key factors that led to the war include the complex system of alliances between European nations, the growth of nationalism and imperialism, and the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary by a Serbian nationalist. The complicated web of alliances meant that when one country went to war, its allies were obliged to join in, leading to a domino effect that ultimately drew much of Europe into the conflict. Which countries participated in the war? Many countries participated in World War I. The main Allied powers were France, Great Britain, Russia, and later the United States. The main Central Powers were Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Additionally, many other countries from around the world joined the war effort on both sides. How long did the war last, and when did it start and end? World War I lasted from July 28, 1914, to November 11, 1918, which is a total of 4 years and 3 months. The war began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary on June 28, 1914, and escalated into a global conflict when Germany declared war on Russia on August 1, 1914. The war officially ended with the signing of the armistice between the Allied powers and Germany on November 11, 1918. What weapons were used in the war? Various types of weapons were used in World War I. Some of the most common weapons used during the war included rifles, machine guns, artillery guns, tanks, flamethrowers, grenades, and poison gas. Additionally, new weapons like airplanes, submarines, and armored vehicles were introduced during the war, which changed the nature of warfare forever. What happened as a result of the war? As a result of World War I, several major political changes occurred, including the dissolution of several empires, the redrawing of national borders, and the establishment of the League of Nations, which aimed to prevent future wars. The Treaty of Versailles, signed on June 28, 1919, officially ended the war between the Allied powers and Germany. The treaty imposed heavy financial reparations on Germany and limited the size of its military. The war also had a significant impact on the global economy, leading to inflation and economic turmoil in several countries. The war also resulted in the deaths of millions of people and had a lasting psychological impact on those who survived. What impact did the results of the war have on world history? The results of World War I had a significant impact on world history. The Treaty of Versailles, which ended the war, placed full blame for the conflict on Germany and imposed harsh reparations on the country. This contributed to the economic and political instability that led to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the start of World War II. The war also led to the collapse of several empires, including the Ottoman Empire and Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the redrawing of national borders in Europe and the Middle East. The war's aftermath also contributed to the Russian Revolution and the eventual rise of communism in the Soviet Union. Overall, World War I reshaped the global political and economic landscape and had far-reaching consequences for the rest of the 20th century. How many casualties were there in the war? It is estimated that the total number of military and civilian casualties in World War I was around 40 million, with about 16 million deaths and 24 million wounded. The exact number of casualties is difficult to determine due to factors such as incomplete or inaccurate records, as well as the use of propaganda during the war. The countries with the highest number of casualties include Germany, Russia, France, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and the United Kingdom. What treaties were signed at the end of the war, and what were the consequences of these treaties? At the end of World War I, several treaties were signed that brought the war to an official close. The most important of these treaties was the Treaty of Versailles, which was signed on June 28, 1919, between Germany and the Allied powers. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to accept full responsibility for the war and pay large sums of money in reparations to the victorious powers. It also imposed significant territorial losses on Germany, including the loss of Alsace-Lorraine to France, and the creation of several new countries, such as Czechoslovakia and Yugoslavia, from former Austro-Hungarian territories. The treaty also had significant military implications, as it severely limited the size and capabilities of the German military, effectively reducing it to a defensive force. In addition, the treaty included the creation of the League of Nations, an international organization designed to prevent future wars by promoting diplomacy and cooperation among member nations. The consequences of the Treaty of Versailles were far-reaching and had a significant impact on world history. The treaty contributed to a sense of resentment and humiliation in Germany, which in turn helped pave the way for the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. The harsh terms of the treaty also contributed to economic instability in Germany and Europe, which ultimately led to the Great Depression and the start of World War II. How did World War I impact World War II? World War I had a significant impact on the outbreak of World War II. The Treaty of Versailles, which was signed at the end of World War I, imposed harsh terms on Germany, including reparations and limits on military power. This contributed to the economic instability and political unrest in Germany, which ultimately led to the rise of Nazi Party and the beginning of World War II. Additionally, the League of Nations, which was created after World War I as an international organization to promote peace and cooperation among nations, was unable to prevent the aggressive actions of countries like Italy, Japan, and Germany in the years leading up to World War II. The failure of the League of Nations to prevent these actions contributed to the outbreak of World War II. Furthermore, the experience of World War I had a significant impact on military strategy and technology, with advances in areas such as aerial warfare, submarine warfare, and chemical warfare. These advances would have a major impact on the conduct of World War II. Overall, World War I played a major role in shaping the political, economic, and military landscape of the 20th century, and had a direct impact on the outbreak and conduct of World War II. (1) Australia, New Zealand, and Canada fought alongside the UK in World War I, but there was no fighting on Australian or New Zealand soil. (2) Poison gas was first used by the Germans in Ypres in 1915. (3) British officer T. E. Lawrence, also known as Lawrence of Arabia, fought as a leader of Arab rebels. (4) Airplanes were first used for reconnaissance and attack purposes during the war. (5) At the end of the war, the German Empire was dissolved, and members of the imperial family were sent into exile. (6) Significant advances were made in medical treatment and technology during the war, especially in the treatment of facial injuries. (7) The outcome of the battle at Gallipoli between the Ottoman Empire and its allies resulted in the signing of a treaty that established boundaries between the parties involved. (8) World War I was one of the main causes of World War II. (9) The Spanish flu pandemic during the war caused approximately 50 million deaths worldwide. (10) Armistice Day, which led to the end of the war, is celebrated as a day for world peace after the end of the war.